So after the first video about breakcore, I got comments talking about that it wasn't really breakcore and more like a DnB or glitchcore track. So I decided to dive deeper into this genre and try to figure out what the OG breakcore sounds like and figure out the easiest way to make real breakcore track. So in order to be clear about this video, I will very roughly divide breakcore music into three categories based on released albums in this genre. First one is true breakcore, 90s style originating from jungle and drum and bass, music similar to Alec Empire, early DJ Skud works, or Bong-Ra. It's harsh, really fast-paced, and takes a lot of production ideas from noise and hardcore techno music. The second category, more experimental or developed breakcore, which was more prominent in late 90s and early 2000s. Producers like Venetian Snares, Igorrr, Enducer, and many more that made a huge leap forward in developing breakcore as a genre. These ones are oozing creativity all the ways possible, using guitar riffs, screaming, growling, aggressive synths, and anything that comes to mind that will make sound even more insane. And the third category is modern breakcore with quotation marks, which is much closer to DnB or ambient DnB, but still can't be called that because they still mainly use intensely cut breakbeats with a lot of compression and distortion rather than premium quality sound design sample packs. So I will mainly talk about these two categories because this one is so wide and unpredictable that it's hard to describe exact way to make music like this. But tips in this video will help you generate ideas for similar projects and music from this category. And let's start with our main course, breaks. Obviously the most reliable and the only right way to cut your breaks, according to breakcore heads, is cutting them manually by hand. In Ableton it works by selecting a point on the grid and pressing Ctrl-E to make a cut, and then just arrange your break whatever you want. The second way I showed in my previous video by using slice to a new MIDI track option, by right-clicking on the audio clip of your break and then just messing around with transient positioning in your MIDI clip. But third method I developed myself in a secret lab, pouring blood, sweat and tears and my entire engineering genius to come up with the most pathetic idea. You can create instant stutters with your breaks with Shaperbox plugin. You can choose an 8-bar option, select this linear icon, then shorten it by clicking and dragging the cursor to the left. And now you can draw these stutters by hand, just clicking on this field. Listen to it and shape your sound the way you want. But that's not all. Obviously this is only step 1. Now we can render this clip and start cutting it yourself into small pieces, some of them 1/8 or 1/16 of the note, and press Ctrl+D to copy them next to each other to create these stutters. But we haven't finished yet. Now render it once again and cut it once more. New pieces can be stretched or shortened by holding Shift plus left mouse button. And don't forget to cut out tiny pieces of your break, like 1/16 or 1/32, to abruptly pause and surprise your listener with the abomination that you created. While arranging your breaks, you can also experiment with different time signatures to make your break sound not so usual. You will get something like this. And now we need additional post-processing to make breaks dirty, filthy, stinky, and ultra distorted for our OG sound. I love using multiband distortion plugins on my breaks to give them different flavors. These two plugins are HYMB Drive and Prisma. Both of them are free and will give your breaks personality. You can make your high-end crispy, your mids noisy, and low-end boomy or more saturated. Whatever you creatively decide to do. And you will get something like this. And now from the main course we move to everything else, aka unimportant stuff. Just kidding, this one is pretty significant too. The great thing about everything in the mix besides breaks is that it's just a huge void that you can fill with anything you want. If you're going for the old school sound, you might add random synths by grabbing Serum or Vital presets and distorting them by thermal or stock distortion plugins from your DAW. You might add erosion or overdrive to fry your sound even more. It will just help you to build these noise layers underneath your breaks. Just remember one simple rule. The more complicated and intense is your break, the simpler your chords and melody should be. Cause if everything in your track is complicated, then it will be just too hard to comprehend. Old school chords are noisy, stuttery, but still very simple, like two chords repeating each other. If it's more modern breakcore, less noise and more atmosphere with reverb, delay and still stutters. Melody can be done really simply as well. You can use stock arpeggiator in your DAW, like this one in Ableton, and adding distortion and delay on top of plug sounds for this old school, random, chaotic, unnerving feeling. Or just a simple piano melody with unique delays. Or randomly cut in the simpler anime vocals to make a random melody out of them. Just stay in one scale making your piano melody. It's not that hard, especially with Ableton features. Bass in breakcore, in my opinion, is pretty universal. Almost everywhere you will hear some kind of a variation of freeze bass. This one is really simple in Serum, I already showed you it in a couple of videos, with a little bit of dimension. Same scale as our chords here. This bass just fills the low end with this harsh growling sound. So these are just some basics, but you can build on top of it and make unique insane sounds that your breakcore head friends would love. If I once again missed something, write it down in the comments and just generally write what you think about this video. Thank you for watching, keep making your own sound, and bye.